This is then what makes me think the following about our present condition in the world. Since World War II, we have been treating the world as our empire. That is, we have taken over the role that the British and the French had before World War II with their empires. And we made this through the IMF and the World Bank and the Bretton Woods institutions. We made a kind of joint colonial system. And in this joint system, the 8 richest countries on earth get to make all the decisions about the economy of the world through the IMF, World Bank, and World Trade Organization. And they decide to run the world for their profit. And so you have the richest people on earth feeding off the poorest people on earth. And the wars that we attack Vietnam and Cambodia and Iraq, and now we're getting ready for Iran and Afghanistan and Panama and even little Grenada, and we were, harass countries like Cuba and Nicaragua, all of this stuff. Okay? They're all our efforts to control the world, right? So that the world uses its economy for our sake. That instead of doing what they need to live well themselves, they serve our economy so that we can get richer and richer. And at this point, we have more than we need. We have so much that we're melting the ice caps of the world. We consume, on the average, 32 times as much as the average person on Earth. 32 times. Now you have that world, you have the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns says that the benefit derived from any expenditure is inversely proportional to the log of the income level of the expenditure. Meaning the more money you have, the less good your money does you, and the less you have, the more good it does you, on a very steep curve. So like when you have $100 a year, if you get another 100, your benefit is increased by more than half. But if you have $40,000 a year per person, and you get another $40,000, you don't live longer, you aren't better educated, you don't get sick less often. All you do is waste things. That is, you have things made that you don't actually need, but that just distinguish you from other people, that make you feel prouder of yourself, and you get to control the actions of more people, which is anti-democratic. So if you want the world to be democratic, what you'd want to do is to lower the difference in income between people. Right now, we're going the course of the Roman Empire. You ever wonder why the Roman Senate gave up its power to Julius Caesar when he crossed the Rubicon and came into Rome, even though that was a capital crime? That is, the Senate had the power to execute Julius Caesar when he brought the Roman legions into Rome. But what did it do instead? It crowned him. It made him emperor. This is what we've done. Okay? George Bush has violated the Constitution in innumerable ways. He's committed all kinds of ordinary crimes. But what do? We give him more power instead of impeaching. And why do we do it? We do it because the richest people in the country have become dependent upon money coming from the poorest countries outside. That is, as of 2000, the amount of money that came into the U.S. each year from countries where we devalued the currencies through the IMF and the World Bank, okay, was $1 trillion a year. The Fortune 500 are dependent on that money. That's why they all want the value of the dollar to be high. Okay? And so, because the Fortune 500 and the richest people in the country are dependent on getting money from countries where people are earning almost nothing, okay? That's why we need to control the rest of the world, and it's why we give power to George Bush. As we give him power because it is not possible to run an empire through Republican means. You can't do it because to run an empire means that you are exploiting people and you must expect them to want to rebel. And so you cannot publicly let them know what you're going to do to stop them from rebelling. And so you must use secrecy and fraud and violence to run an empire. All empires have always been run this way, including the British Empire. And we are giving up our birthright because we want this money by oppressing the rest of the world with 725 military bases in 138 countries and a military budget that is larger than the entire military budgets of all of the countries of the rest of the world. As we spend more than 50% of the world's military money, and we also trade more than 50% of the world's arms. And we do that to prevent countries from running their economies for their own reasons instead of just shipping us what we want. And the effect of that is murder, random murder worldwide. That is, we are told, lied to, I know, because I've lived in India and Nepal for 9 years, we are lied to daily about the effects of our presence in other countries. We're told, for instance, that India is becoming rich. Well, it's only 15% of Indians which become wealthier. Okay? Another 35% just don't change, and 50% become poor because the price of everything goes up, but their wages don't. Okay? So we are not allowing other people to develop themselves, and now we've reached the limit at which we can do it. We can't do it anymore because the world itself is rebelling. As global warming is melting the ice caps, places are getting flooded, climate is changing. Okay? We want to keep on consuming what we're consuming and keep on running the world for the sake of our consumption. As George Bush's father said, you know, the American way of life is not negotiable. Well, if the American way of life is not negotiable, we will not survive because we are being killed by our own selfishness. Rather, the selfishness of the people who run the country and in whose interest it is run. Because we've become a government of the rich, by the rich, for the rich. And we've done that for the sake of world domination. Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Are you ready for Congress?
Please vote for Richard. Vote for Richard. Petition for Richard.
Is there anybody here that wants to petition for Richard Duffee to get on the ballot? Raise your hand. Who hasn't done it? It's a lot of fun, actually. I'm Mike DeRosa.